Hello, everyone, and welcome to Five Rivers Podcast, sponsored by Heal. I am your host today, Amber Smith. I am a fitness and nutrition coach. Been doing it for 14 years. And today I am thrilled to welcome an inspiring guest onto the podcast, Danica. Danica was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at just 14. Danica has faced the challenges of managing her health head on while leading an incredible, active, and fulfilling life. She has not only completed a marathon, but is also diving back into her love of volleyball. When she's not playing sports or active, you can find her traveling, spending quality time with friends, and advocating for diabetes awareness. Through her business, Dialogue, the Insulin for Your Soul, Danica supports diabetes research, combining her entrepreneurial spirit with her passion for helping others. Her resilience, positivity, and dedication to living life to the fullest makes her story one you don't want to miss. Danica, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thanks so much, Amber. I'm excited to be here.
All right, so today I definitely want to dive into some things. Is there, so for an icebreaker, so let the guests know one lifestyle habit that they think that is most underrated in managing diabetes.
The most underrated habit that I've found is really reviewing your data, just going through and looking at
Mm.
it. Because without knowing why or seeing if there's something that you could do, it could be your sleep, could be your rest, could be your water intake. But if you were chronically high for 3 days or chronically low for 3 days, or you're just in this roller coaster, there might be other things outside of just giving yourself insulin to help you through it. So just looking at the data that you're able to see is the best habit I've found, and it's completely underrated.
Nice. So with the data, what are you using for this data to monitor?
So this could be anything from my continuous glucose monitor to if I'm still doing manual blood sugar checks, or it could be how much insulin I'm administrating over time. It could be your basal rate. So all those little factors add up along with your hours of sleep, how much water, how much food, your nutrition. There's so much data that we make for our own bodies. And I don't think it's really taught how to look at it and think of yourself holistically. But looking at those little pieces can tell you a lot. It might be like, oh, this one little thing could change or make me feel
Yeah.
better all the time. So let's
Yeah.
let's look at these things.
So as an African American woman, we both know that it is prevalent in our community. So let's talk about the diversity in healthcare and the impact that diabetes has.
Absolutely. Diversity and health equity are big, big pieces and passions of mine. I wear many hats outside of just being diabetic and advocating for diabetes, but I also work in healthcare full time on the administration side as well. And just being able to have that representation, not just with your clinicians, but with the people that are making the choices of what options you have in your communities. Is there a hospital? Is there other thing? There you have to have not just diverse people, but diverse thinking. And when it comes to managing diabetes or someone living with diabetes and thinking of that as a community, it's much further. If you've never seen a provider that looks like you, they don't have that lived experience. Might not even have that lived experience of being human like you. It's a different it's a different ball game. And I think it's just crucial because there's a lack of it.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. Like in underserved communities, it's kind of hard for us to get to these providers and these professionals. Not only that, but the educational part. Like we do not know where to go or how do we navigate these, to overcome these adversities that we are already facing being an underserved community.
Yes, and even in some of those areas where it's like, okay, like you're talking about nutrition, there are some cultural foods that are very important. Like you can't just go in and say, hey, you can't have that. No, there's things with moderation. Like there's gotta be, and it's like when you
Mhm.
don't have to go and explain something that's already culturally important to you, it goes a long way. It's like, oh, I'm not just a number. I'm not just a patient. This person cares about me. This person knows my interests. This person knows that this is what living with diabetes can look like for me.
Yeah, culturally, like you said, like that's a big thing. Like if you can't relate to what I'm eating or what is at hand in my community, then how can you really help me? Because you telling me to go to like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, that is not in my community for those who are, underserved. So it's like, what can I do otherwise? And like, can you give me an examples like of things like that may not be at your access, and how do you navigate that? Because you travel a lot, and
Hmm.
that's not going to always be the case where you have a perfect scenario of, oh, I'm going to have a perfect, well balanced meal. Can you tell me a little bit more how you navigate
Yep.
those
No, it's
issues?
if I'm in the States or beyond, it's different. It could be I can be in a big city, I can be in a rural area, and it's different, but it's knowing how to navigate, knowing how to look. It's like there might not be a grocery store, there might just be a Dollar Tree or a Dollar General. Knowing how to go and say, there's only processed food, there's only something packaged, or I can only afford this, or I can only go to McDonald's. Learning how to make healthy choices in any environment, I think, is the key here. But making sure you're doing that and it's not a negative way, and in a way that's like, hey, this is what you have access to. It's like not saying, hey, go to the farmer's market. It's saying, hey, these are vegetables and they can fuel your body this way. Or if you're going to eat a Pop Tart, this is a Pop Tart. But you need to make sure you're giving yourself enough insulin for this, and it might not fill you fully in this way. So you might want to do a Pop Tart with a string cheese. These little
Mm,
pieces and giving yourself a little access to it. It's not just saying, hey, you need to go and get everything green. It's like, hey, this is what you have. Let's make sure that it's balanced, that we can help you find balance with what you have access to. And even if it's bare minimum or whatever is there, there's ways that you can make healthy choices in every moment. But it's really making sure you have the representation in that community to educate on it and to make sure that the health literacy side of it is available too.
nice. So I do want to backtrack a little bit
Yes.
because I did mention that you were diagnosed at 14. Like that's life changing and kind of almost devastating to a certain extent. Like you're a teenager and you're finding out like, oh, I really have to start taking care of my health. Like I want to be a kid and I want to play. Like that's pretty serious. So how did you navigate like learning more about your diagnosis and just, getting better at it with taking care of yourself?
It took me a while. I'm 100%. I'm an open book. I share everything because I am not a perfect diabetic. There is no such thing as a perfect diabetic. But at
Yeah.
14, I was not all about my diabetes. I was all about playing basketball and hanging out with my
Mhm.
friends. And I knew how
Yeah.
to get my parents and my doctors off my back by being healthy. I don't even think I understood what health was at that time. It's a word that's just like thrown around, but I learned how
Hmm.
to manage my insulin, how to check my blood sugar. I was awful, awful at checking my blood sugar. This is back when all I had access to is a finger stick to check my glucose levels. They wanted me to do that 8 to 10
Yeah.
times a day. No, like you're with your friends, you're practicing. So it's like I was just going off a feeling for a long time. And it took
Yeah.
me, I had to grow up really quickly. I did not have the
Mm.
luxury of making the same mistakes as people in my peer group. I couldn't forget something at home. I could not be prepared for a low. I couldn't not do all these things. So I had to always learn how to be proactive and prep. And my mom, big testament to my mom and my dad, they were very involved and they helped me. But they didn't know a lot about this either. And it was one of those things like when I was
Mhm.
diagnosed, I had a doctor who left. So by the time I went for my 3 month checkup, I had to start commuting 2.5 hours away just to see someone that could
Wow.
administer care for me. So then it became I really don't like diabetes already. And now it's taking me further away from my sports and my friends, and it's like I'm missing class, I'm missing school, and I have to, on top of it, be responsible and make sure that I'm doing the basics of what I need to do just to function every day. It was a lot. It's a lot to put on anybody at any age, but as a teenager, you already have a lot going on, and you have your hormones, which already impacts all this
Oh God.
already. It was just it was something that I learned that I could do hard things, and I had the support of my community and beyond to help me. But it was a different type of community. It was just like the community I had before I was diabetic.
Yeah. Nice, nice. I just couldn't imagine because I have kids that are, teenagers, and I just see how crazy the lifestyle is and where their mindset is. So, like, big ups to your mom. We'll do anything for our kids, and I'm glad. Like, so how, as you became like a college student, how did that, like, did it get worse? Because that's when you get introduced to drinking, right?
Yep. Oh, it got worse, but it's like I knew I couldn't make the mistakes. I knew I didn't have the
Hmm.
recovery time. So I was very, very cautious. And I did a lot of education, but there wasn't a lot of information out there because people weren't talking about the things that college students go through when they're living with a chronic condition like diabetes. And it was one of those, like, it's trial and error, unfortunately. But even to this day, it's
Mm,
like I just had to learn how to listen to my body and know that I know my body best. And just because other people are doing something doesn't mean that I can do it. Doesn't mean that I can't, but it's like I had to make these decisions for myself and what was best for me in those moments. And going through that piece, it still was like, no, I do not want to check my glucose all the time. I don't want to be that person
yeah.
going to the bathroom or at a party, stopping to check my blood sugar just to do it, to fill out a
Mm,
chart. It's like I did it more so when I felt that I needed to, which of course my providers were anti that. But that's the reality of it. It's like
mm.
that's taking 8 to 10 times me stopping my life to check something
That's a lot.
when I feel okay. Didn't make sense to me. It did not click when I was
Mm,
an adolescent and then into young adulthood because I was just like, this doesn't make sense. I feel good. I'm fine. When I don't feel good, I check myself and I'm like, okay, let
yeah.
me make it correct. But not understanding the impact of chronic highs or overtime
Mm,
highs or overtime lows and having them all the time and seeing how that could do things to my body in the long run, that was not even top of mind. That was just, okay, whatever. Like, I don't want to be scared that I'm going to lose a limb or I'm going to do this. Like,
yeah.
that scarce, like,
Yeah.
tactic that used to be very standard. I didn't buy it.
Hmm.
I just didn't buy it. I was like, I know that I'm good. I feel good. I'm in somewhat a range and I'm out here living a life and I'm not letting diabetes stop me.
This kind of brings me into segment number two. We're talking about the lifestyle, like the stress, the sleep, and the activity that you do. Because you said you played sports and stuff. And so, how did that like make an impact? Like, how do you manage the sleep and the stress, and how does it affect you with your diabetes?
Oh, stress is not my friend. Stress is not my friend, and it does so much, especially when I was in school. I've been to school way too many times, and it was one of those things like I'm taking an exam and my blood sugar would just be 300 because I'm stressed or in the middle of it. And I'm like, I can't read straight. I can't do these things. And I had to find a way. I had to learn about testing accommodations. I had to learn that, hey, like sometimes this is what happens with my body, or there's a lot of other things where I didn't get sleep because I'm in a dorm and everyone's loud, or I was low
Mhm,
6 times in the night and I couldn't sleep. I have a full night before an exam. Like that was just life, and I had to push
mhm,
through it. But those are real things that happen every day. I still deal with that today as a like working professional. Some nights it's like, yes, I might have a 6 a.m. meeting, but I might have got 3 hours of sleep, not because I was doing anything fun. It was because I was having a bad blood sugar,
stress.
and the stress on top of
That's
that just goes a long way. And it's just, you never know what it is. It's like I could be completely off whack and have done everything right, everything by the book. And once I got
mm,
to the point where I accepted that, it's like, hey, even though you can do this right, like that's the whole point. Doing it right doesn't mean that you're replacing your pancreas, doesn't mean that you're having a
mhm.
fully functioning body. I don't. That's why I have this disease, and it's okay. I had to just get to the point where I just accepted it, not allow the diabetes itself to stress me more than life already stresses me enough.
So how do you like calm yourself down with the stress? Or, like, what are you have any
Yes.
tactics or
My biggest stress reliever is walking. Walking is like
okay.
my secret superpower. I love to go for walks. One, because it allows my brain to be at ease, allows me to think. It allows my body to actually release the dopamine and I feel much better when I'm walking. But just walking when I'm super stressed, it could even be like in a circle or outside. I make sure I
Mm,
prioritize walking, and that's very important. There's three things that I do every day, regardless where I'm at. I think routine is very, very important, especially when you're living with diabetes. But I
mhm.
walk, I do some type of stretching and yoga, and I will journal. Those are my three holistic things, because without those every day, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I can do those. Like, that's a little bit of control that I can have in my life, but it's allowing me to feel my body, my mind, and to make sure that I'm functioning at my best level for that day.
Nice. Even as a fitness trainer, these are things that I tell my clients to do, like walk. If
Mhm.
you can do anything else, just go out. I just need you to get like 10,000 steps a day. Like, and it's amazing how like you relay it to stress. It's the same thing with fitness. It just all interacts with each other.
Hmm. It is my biggest
Um,
way to just get out of my own way, get in, like, let myself be. Let me sit with my thoughts. Like, I don't walk with music. You can. It's fun, but it's like, no,
mm,
I don't have the stress of the numbers, I don't have the stress of the work. I just like get out, walk as much as I can, and I just feel better. And I've been doing that for maybe 10 years straight where I'm walking every day. Marathon
yeah.
training was the first time where it was like, I can't go on these long walks like I wanted to.
No.
No, not as much, but
No.
it was a little bit different, but it's just been a big practice of mine that I do. And I also um, encourage others in the community to do as well.
So with you doing this, you just completed a marathon, right? So how difficult was that training for a marathon because it's physically taxing on the body? Like, did you get better sleep? Did it make you more stressful or what?
It was a journey. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm not a runner. That I just tell people this. Like,
Mm,
I was a sprinter in high school. I could sprint like a 100
yeah,
or a 4x1, but long distance running is a completely different sport. And
it's
it
mental.
was it was mental. I physically was different, even though I'm athletic. I love to be as fit as I can. It was just different. But
Yeah,
I had to learn how to manage my diabetes completely in a completely different way for the first time in a long time. I had to manage,
interesting.
how do I feel my body in a different way? How do I administer my insulin differently? How do I carry so many things? How am I prepared to not go low? Or to not be too high. Because typically when I'm playing basketball or volleyball, my blood sugar runs higher because of adrenaline. When I'm doing long distance, no,
Mm-hmm.
not at all. It goes much lower, and
Crash.
it just
Yeah.
I had to rewire my brain into doing this, and then I also had to push myself to do this because I had never even ran a 5K before I started training.
What?
Yes, this is might have been one of the wildest things I've done, and I got my
Yeah.
mom involved in this too. My mom ran the marathon with me, just
Yeah.
and our
Oh, that's awesome.
my why behind this was I'm raising awareness about diabetes and I'm raising funds for diabetes because that's really the community. This is what I'm doing to support. But every time I was out there, I was like, I must really love this community because I do not love running. And I don't know what I'm doing. Or I would have a bad run where I'm just low. And, or my body gives out because I get an injury or something. And I'm just like, you know what? It's okay. Like, this doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not doing this to win the race. Like, I'm not
Yeah.
doing this to win the race. I'm
Yeah.
doing this to show that I can do this. And as diabetic, we can do hard things and we can thrive with whatever we're given. And there is a bigger purpose than just having diabetes. And it did teach me how to change, how to adjust, how to review. I had to get back to some of the foundational pieces of diabetes I don't always
Mm,
go to every day. But it kind of was a new journey from mental and physical and diabetes as well, because it was, hey, this is my new body. This is how it's operating today. And this is how it's operating for the next 4 months. And I have to get on board and make sure I'm taking care of it through sleep and nutrition and hydration. um, it's very, very different,
mm.
but I had to find a rhythm and work with my providers to get the right things in place.
Yeah, so finding your rhythm. Let's talk a little bit more about the technology that you use. I know you use the CGM. Like, did that really become like your reliable piece of technology to rely on?
It did. So my CGM, I'm very unique when it comes to CGMs because I work with a lot of
Mm,
diabetics, and I ask them, they're like, "Oh no, I check my blood sugar all the time because I can see it." I don't. That
mm,
thing, it alerts me. So it literally tells me when to tap into my diabetes. I trust it. I mean, tech fails, but when I get a little
yeah.
alert telling me something's done, that's when I take action. I'm not sitting here just waiting for something to happen. I'm just like, okay, I got an alert. I'm going to handle it then. But it allowed me to focus on my training. in a completely different way because I'm
Yeah.
not sitting here worried about am I low, am I high? I was like, how do I feel right now? Am I able to push this? And oh, something's happening or it might happen soon. I need to take action now. And I've been living like that with diabetes for a while since I've had this technology. But until
Mm.
I really put myself in this new challenge of running, it was like I really, really do trust this. I really am allowing myself to be more of a human rather than just a diabetic because I have this tech to support me.
Yeah, so from like people who have gotten diagnosed with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, like you highly recommend them getting the CGM, right?
I do recommend a CGM. I'm sitting here, I was like, how did I do diabetes for so long without it? Because when CGMs
Yeah.
first came out, I was anti them. Well, I didn't fully
Mm.
understand what it was and the power of it because it to me it's like, oh, I can see my diabetes for the first time. I can see things in real
Mm.
time. And it's really, really cool and it makes me make informed decisions on my health instantly. But at first, I didn't understand that. I just saw it as something else I needed to wear, something else I needed to purchase. And I was like, I didn't
Mm.
even want to wear anything in the first place. Why would I want anything else? But now that I understand it and understand the science behind
Mhm.
it and understand how it can help me be proactive and make decisions then that are best for my health in that moment rather than, oh, I checked my glucose levels and I'm going to need to check it again in 20 minutes just so I can know how it impacted me. No, I'm like, nope, I'm working out and I'm going to be like this on a graph, or I might be like this, and this is that. Or I'm going to have something that is really sweet that I enjoy, that I don't
Yeah,
get
yeah,
that often.
yeah.
And I'm going to see how it impacts my body to see, okay, did I do too much insulin? Did I not? Or did I feel really bad after? And I also track that stuff. I write it down in my journal. I review my stuff every day. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like I can do these things. I can see my diabetes, but it's not just seeing, it's like I can act on my diabetes in an informed way that's
Yeah.
custom towards me.
Yeah, it just paints a bigger picture.
Hmm.
Like even with your sleep and stuff, like, okay, why am I feeling this? Like it it's just a great piece of technology in my opinion for
Hmm.
those who have this. Um yeah, the big picture, like you said, and I know it helped you with your training and stuff.
Yeah, and it helps me every day. Like if I had to, every year I take a like a detox, the best way to put it, where I go no tech, no tech. I just want to make sure that I can do the
Mm-hmm.
foundational pieces of diabetes because the tech is a luxury. It's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody can have it. And I never
Mm-hmm.
know if I'm ever going to be in those situations. So I want to make sure that I know how to
Mm.
manage my disease that I'm living with just the basics. So that's a finger stick. That's drawing up my needles, poking them in, and just making sure that I can live a healthy life and live my best life with regardless of the tech. Tech to me is a luxury. I love it, but I also know
Yeah.
that it might not always be there or it might fail. It's going to fail. I guarantee you,
Yeah.
tech is going to fail, and
Yeah.
you still need to be prepared to take care of yourself without the tech. But if you can access the tech and have it, do it. It'll make your life a little bit easier. It'll like make you make less decisions on diabetes, or like make you make informed decisions on your diabetes. You can take a step. It's giving yourself a little bit of a break.
Yeah. So I hear you talking about the basics. Can you elaborate a little bit more on like your basics of monitoring?
So the basics come down to glucose reading. So that's traditionally just a finger stick or finger poke where you're just drawing a little blot of blood, putting it into a meter and reading it.
Mhm.
And that's really checking your actual blood levels. And then insulin, depending on how you take it for type 1 or type 2, it could be a pill or it could be the liquid insulin. And that it comes in many forms. That could be, I mean, for
Mhm.
type 2, it's really the pill, or you can have the liquid, but it could be a liquid in a vial, or a liquid in a dial up pen, or one where you have to draw your own needles, or pre filled needles. It just depends. Or it could be an insulin pump. But the basics are really just, for me, I go back to just pen and poking.
Mhm.
And if I can do that, you have to do math because the tech does the math for you. And
Yeah.
when I was
Yeah. Yeah.
younger,
Get lazy.
I could do this with my eyes closed. I could sit there and be like, oh, that was 35 carbs. This is my insulin to carb ratio. This is my correction factor.
Wow.
Boom, boom, boom. Now I don't
Yeah.
have to do that at all. And that's why I kind of take these breaks so that I can remember how to do these. Because if it fails and you don't even
Mm.
know what your insulin to carb ratio is, you're in trouble.
Mhm.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
So I just try to do it. I
That's the
review it every month just to make sure I even know it. Because if I'm in a situation, or let's say you get in an accident or something, and someone asks you, "Hey," or it's helpful. It's just helpful to know these things.
some people cannot afford this technology. Um, and like far as the genetics, how important does the genetics take place? Because personally, my family, I have diabetes runs rampant in my family on my dad's side. So, you know how we say in the community, oh, my mom has it. Oh, I guess I'm just going to have it. Like, I feel like that's just a cop out and just something that you shouldn't accept. Um, so does it run in your family?
No, so that's the craziest thing. Like especially as a type one, a lot of it is hereditary, and
Mm-hmm.
I have no family history of type 1 diabetes. I personally think a lot of the newer cases of type 1 are more environmentally given because our environment's
Mm-hmm.
changing so drastically, our food sources are changing drastically, but I have no family history. So I was out here alone this whole time. I mean, my family got on board, but I didn't know anyone until I was after college, is when I really met other diabetics. So
Mm.
it was very, very different for me. That's why I'm a big advocate for community, because it's something I needed that I didn't even know I needed. But when we're thinking about
Yeah.
genetics, especially in the type 2 space, like you can be pre-diabetic and then diabetic. When they're giving you, hey, this is your yellow light, that's why I put as a yellow light if we're looking at a stoplight. Pre-diabetes is yellow. That doesn't mean it's a like a decision. You can make choices. Or if you
Right.
know you have family history, let's work on this as a family. Let's work on these, because a lot of
Yeah.
things take proactive lifestyle changes, and you cannot be that statistic. You can go beyond it. You can break whatever has been happening through these generational pass downs that is being labeled as genetic that might not really be genetic. There might be, okay, like I can learn how to prepare food or figure out what's best for my body or understand these things, or I can learn
Mm.
how to have a proactive, healthy lifestyle that can prevent me from having these diabetes. Like you can be empowered to make these changes rather than just saying, oh, my mom's got it, my uncle's got it, my auntie's got it, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
have it. And that doesn't have to be the case. It doesn't have to be the case
Yeah.
anymore.
But this It doesn't, but the sad thing is now, like, the statistics are showing that younger kids, like ages 12 and 19, are gonna be pre-diabetic or have type 2 diabetes, and it's like we're fighting an uphill battle with, like, the food industry, and I'm like, "How can we, like, fight this?" I mean, California, that's where you stay at, right? If
Hmm.
I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
it's
I like the way California is going, with their things, with the foods, but I worry, like, as a mother,
hmm
like,
and
my kids' kids.
it's scary, because even if you don't have the genetic connection, like I mean, some of it, there are some real scientific backgrounds where this is it is family history, can happen this way. But there's more education, there's more things around things now where you can make some small changes that can make your risk less, can make significantly reduce your risk, where you might not just have it because somebody else had it. But when we're thinking
Yeah.
about the bigger issues here, really the environment and what you have access to, that's the bigger things. Like it's like, is everything full of pesticides? Everything full of all these other things that are
Mhm.
causing things that we don't even have the research behind yet, or why we're getting so many
Yeah,
uptakes? Because 1 in 2 people have diabetes or know somebody with diabetes. That's a lot. There's a lot of
absolutely.
people in the
That's a
world,
lot.
and
Yeah.
it's a normal thing now. Which at the end of the day, it's like I can't believe we're talking about a chronic condition that's now just normalized. Like we shouldn't all be in a chronic condition. Like that's not
No.
what living is about. But when we're looking at
Yeah.
our food sources, our soil, our farming, where do we get everything from?
Mhm.
How does it get distributed to every zip code? What are the price tags around these? What are, even let's say if we're looking at the government funded things, okay, what are those options? What accepts different types of food stamps? What doesn't? And that
Mm.
all plays a piece of this. And until someone sits there and looks at that from that 10,000-foot view and wants to make a change, it's going to continue to
Mhm.
be a problem, and we're just going to be a world full of sick people.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I lived in an underserved community, and just me being health conscious, I did take that extra drive out to get good quality foods. Like, even we have the grocery stores in those underserved communities, but the produce section is not as vast as others, which is really bothersome to me.
Mhm.
And so, like, even the parents have to be on board. Like, it's not the kids, but it's just bad habits based off of the environment because we definitely have access to a gas station with some chips or McDonald's, Arby's, Burger King. That's more accessible than a kava
Yep.
or just healthier food options. And it's really sad. It's kind of like we're set up for failure to a certain extent,
Absolutely. And then if you can't even afford, like, let's say, okay, it's cheaper to go get a box of just noodles and
right?
something of those sense to feed a family of five, six, whatever it is, or your community, because families aren't just mom, dad, sister, brother. They are bigger, especially in these diverse,
Yeah.
underserved populations as well. Like that's where I we've all been through in different things. It's like it's different. Like you got aunties, uncles, cousins that you might not even know they're cousins. You got it's different. It's a different culture where it's like you're feeding a lot of mouths. And if you have $20 to
Yeah.
feed 10 people, what can you do with that? Can you fill that with vegetables? Can you fill that with protein? No, you might really just be able to
Yeah.
have sauce that might be full of sugar. You can't get your no sugar
Mm,
added sauce. And it's like you have to think of these as things like this. And those are cheaper. And that's the issue here. The
yeah.
easily accessible foods are not the best things for your body all the time.
I'm glad you talked about foods because in our culture, we love us some, I guess, the quote unquote soul food.
Hmm.
Thanksgiving is our time, right?
Yep.
The fried foods. About the only vegetable that I feel like our culture loves is like collard greens, but everything else will have cheese on it. And it's like, how do we navigate healthier food options from our
Exactly.
cultural diets?
Yep, and
It's
it's one of
hard.
those. It's one of those. It's hard. Our culture dies, but there's different ways. Like I've seen a lot of people, especially here in California. Their greens are not collard greens. They're kale, and I was like, okay, but you know what?
Oh,
It's like there's other pieces, and like there's different movements kind of going on in these things, but you have to also be open in your culture to have these conversations. Like just because we're seeing our families get diagnosed with different things or dealing with different health complications, that also is a norm. I feel that's a statement of myself, not it's not scientific fact, but that's becoming a
yeah,
norm. But it's okay. Like, what else do we want to do about this rather than complain?
yeah,
Let's come together. Let's see what
yeah.
options we can do. Let's start a garden in our neighborhood. Let's do something like this because,
Mm,
and starting a garden doesn't have to mean you need to go get all these seeds. Save the seeds from the food you already
mhm.
have. Like if you already paid it, just save it and go.
Exactly.
And let's do it. We
Yeah,
can do it this
yeah.
way. And those community organizations can go a long way to help with that too. But it really just takes the people to want to make a change as well. And I do think it starts one
It's hard.
family by family once they're diagnosed and see that something else is there. Um, but it's unfortunately not a one person battle. I wish I would fight that all I could if I
Mhm.
could. If it was a one person,
Yeah.
guys, we'd be in there. I'd be like Mike Tyson in there. But we are we're not there yet.
Fight
But
for life.
I do think the
No.
small awareness piece of it and the
Mhm.
education and the literacy around
That
it
part.
and letting our different communities know of hey, it doesn't have to be like this. Here are ways to do this. Let's grassroots
Mhm.
approach this. I think can go a long way.
I agree. I agree. But it's still so hard, like, to navigate these recipes. Like, hey,
Hmm.
you don't have to add all this sugar to your candy yams,
Hmm.
or, butter. It's like there are different options. But that educational piece, I agree. Is I feel like that's the biggest gap that we are trying to close when it comes to African Americans because we're just stuck in our ways. I'm from the South. I'm from Georgia.
Yeah, I was like, I'm from
So,
Florida and Tennessee is different, and my parents are
yeah.
from DC and Georgia, so it's just like you have everything. And I'm a very health conscious person.
Mhm.
I've been like that my whole life, probably. Like, and it comes down to
Mhm.
different things. It's like, okay, like I like stevia, or this looks like a weird fruit. Like, I want to try it, and everyone's like, what are you
Yeah.
eating? What is that? And I'm like, I don't know. It's good
Yeah.
though. Like, it tastes good. It's full of flavor. It's full of nutrients. But have like, if you get a yam or a sweet potato, like they're naturally sweet. You don't need this other stuff. Like I
Yeah.
just tried it. You have to be willing to expand your palate. And you can still bring in your
Yeah.
spices, you can still bring in your flavor, but there's a way to do it and it's got to be something that's newer than an air fryer. Like air fryer's great, fast,
Yeah.
easy, but it's still a frying
Mhm.
mechanism. It doesn't mean that it's
Mm,
always
yeah,
healthy, or like
yeah,
it's one of those things. So it's like, life I think should be lived, but in moderation. You can have all these things in moderation.
absolutely. That part. Activity.
It's
No, I didn't never ask you.
mhm.
Do you weight train?
I do. It's not my favorite. I'm starting to like it, but especially through the marathon, I realized really the importance of
Mhm,
recovery and strength building. I think it's really great for the
mhm,
body. I've always been a part of it, but it's one of those things like I need somebody to tell me what to do. I'm never gonna go into the gym and just pick up some weights. But I do understand the importance of it, and it's actually a very empowering experience and journey that I've been on with myself. It's like,
mhm,
wow, I can do this. I can build muscle. I can build strength. But
mhm,
if you don't have that foundation, you're not doing conditional strength building. That could even be just through weighted stretching and beyond. It goes longer. You want
mhm.
healthy, strong bones. You want healthy um, stabilization. And as you age, the more that you can strength build, the healthier you'll be.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of strength training.
Yeah.
Like, the more muscle you have on, the better you can maintain your insulin levels, right?
Exactly. The better your glucose levels will be, the better your insulin will be, and honestly, the better you feel. And then, like, you're gonna look good. You're gonna feel good. The more that you can do this, it's
Yeah.
just a different way. Like, because if you're people out here struggling to lose weight, struggling to do these other things, struggling to keep their sensitivity down, like, have you tried weightlifting? Have you
Mhm,
done new things? And it doesn't mean that you have to
mhm.
go and like bench press 100 plus a bar. Like, you don't. That's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
where you
yeah.
start, you guys. It's not where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
start. It could be, oh, I got a 5 pound,
Nah.
I got a 10 pound, or I'm doing a
Yeah,
plank. I'm doing these other things. Like, body strength goes a long way, and
yeah.
it's one of those. I've been a journey. It's going to be a continual journey for me, but I felt the rewards not just in how I feel every day, but also in my diabetes management.
Hey, if you ever need a trainer, just let me know.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Because this is something, getting help. It's okay to need help and accountability in these
Yeah,
spaces. I think coaching is a beautiful thing, especially in the different facets of
yeah.
health. But I I coach, and I need a coach. I need a coach in every aspect of my
Yeah,
life.
we all need coaches. I need a
Yes.
coach. Yeah, keep
Because
me accountable to hold me.
yeah, and it's like you don't have to do this alone. You can do this with tech. You can do
Mhm.
this with support, with coaches and beyond. But it's not something you have to navigate on your own.
That's a big thing. You don't have to do it alone. Like you said, use your technology, use your resources around you, and just make sure you take care of yourself. Like a mom, as me being a mom, if I can't take care of myself, if I'm not doing good for myself, I'm no good to anybody.
Yep,
And life just starts to crumble. It's just a trickle effect on down. But
absolutely.
I want to are there any other things that you want to talk about? I think I've asked enough questions.
No, you're good. I think the one thing I would just leave the audience with is take the risk. Take the risk to try. Like, you deserve to live a full life, and you deserve a healthy life. And whatever steps you want to take to get there, like, you're in the right space. You're here listening to the show. You're here learning about healed. You're learning about other things like that. And there's resources. There's people. Reach out to me. Reach out to Amber. We will guide you in any direction that we can,
Yeah.
because you don't have to do this alone, and you deserve the best version of yourself. And I think that anybody who wants that can get there.
Oh, well, I'm inspired and I love everything that you're doing, what you represent. And I really appreciate you taking time out today to sit here and talk to me. So thank you again, Danica.
No, thank you. This was so much fun, and I appreciate the time.